In this video, I'll be answering my evaluation question 1, which is, in what ways does your media product use, develop or challenge forms and conventions of real media products? During this video, I shall discuss how each part of the film follows or challenges the conventions of real media products. The sections I shall discuss are my storyline, characters, costume, location, music and my chosen film name. The first section I'll talk about is my storyline. My storyline tends to mainly follow the conventions. Stereotypically, a thriller storyline will consist of something bad happening and then a good solution at the end as to what's gone wrong, and usually the audience will be able to follow the storyline closely. My storyline is about a girl who goes missing and her friends try to find her. The end of the film would result in finding her, therefore it follows the conventions of a thriller film. However, there is a challenge to the convention because during my film, the audience will be led on to think one of my characters, the farm owner, might be the bad guy, but eventually they'll work out that he means well and is also trying to find a missing girl, Lily, who is actually his long-lost daughter. This therefore means that the storyline has a hidden twist, which could make it seem like there's two storylines in one. Therefore, it isn't as simple as a normal thriller storyline, but I believe this makes it more unique and interesting to watch. The next section I led on to talk about is my characters. In my film, I have four main characters: Lily, who is missing, John, who is her long-lost father, and then Alice and Isaac, who are Lily's best friends. The normal convention of the characters in a thriller film are that there is a protagonist, someone who means well and is seen as a good character, an antagonist, someone who does something bad and is seen as a bad person, and a victim, someone who's in danger and has been targeted for being weak. These all make up the main characters of a thriller film, stereotypically. My characters both follow and challenge the convention. First of all, I have the obvious victim, who is Lily, who is missing, and then the protagonist, Alice and Isaac, who are trying to find their friend Lily. However, my last character, John, has two character personalities. Overall, he is a protagonist. However, in the first half of the film, he will seem to be an antagonist. Therefore, this challenges the conventions, as my film doesn't necessarily have a main obvious character who is the antagonist throughout the whole duration of the film. However, my film does mainly follow the conventions. The next part I shall discuss is the costumes I chose for my characters. There isn't necessarily a convention for the costumes. However, for a thriller film, most commonly the characters' costumes will be casual to give the film a more realistic feel and look, so it feels more relatable for the audience watching it. Therefore, my film does fit the stereotypical look, as I decided to choose casual everyday wear for my characters to make the film seem more like real life, so therefore it does technically fit the convention. I actually told my characters to wear clothing that they would normally wear in a home environment, so that the storyline looks more realistic in the film as it does in real media products. For example, films such as Purge or The Call use casual clothing, which for myself as an audience member makes the film seem more like it could actually happen in real life, which means it's more captivating and interesting to watch. Therefore, this is why I chose the costumes I did for my film, to also give off a feeling to my audience that my film could be quite realistic. After deciding costumes, I then decided to look at my location. The film is set in two main places, a house, but mainly the bedroom setting, and then the farmyard. These are my main two locations, other than little parts in between, like the road journey and the hallway in the house. I chose to set my film in these locations because they are very natural and will help to make my film seem more realistic, as well as fitting my storyline well. When researching thriller films, I found that the most common locations were houses, dark buildings, and in general realistic settings that would be normal for everyday use. I believe they use these kinds of locations to make the film seem more lifelike for the audience to watch, and so therefore the storylines are then more believable and possible. As well as using these locations, they would also ensure that there would be a darker part to add the thrill to the film and make it tense. I believe my film very much conforms and follows these conventions. Not only do I use realistic settings, I also film part of my film when the lighting is dimming. This is whilst I'm using my farm setting. This is so my film feels tense and fits the conventions of a thriller film. Therefore, overall, my location fits the conventions well and fits the stereotypical expectations of a thriller film setting. I will now move on to my selection of music for my film. For my film, I had both non-diegetic and diegetic music, this being the soundtrack I used and the natural noises and dialogue from the actors as well. The conventional type of music used for thriller films is usually quite dark and tense music. This is used to make the audience feel on edge and eager to watch more. They also use and create certain diegetic noises, which are usually used as jump scares and to make the audience feel excited about what's to come. During my trailer, I used a soundtrack which I created myself in GarageBand as the main backing music. It was deep and tense and was created with the idea to create tension and worry for the audience watching, in the hope that they would then want to watch more. As well as the soundtrack I made, I also had non-diegetic sounds that were either made naturally by the actors or set dialogue I had scripted them. This was to make the trailer seem more realistic, and the dialogue was added to give slight clues into what was going to happen later on in the film. Not only did I have these, I also used a voiceover. The voiceover was used to give insight into what the film was about and to give a clue into what the storyline was about. The voice I used was deep, and I decided this because I wanted the audience to feel engaged by the voice, but to also listen to the script and then make them feel tense as well. I believe my voiceover soundtracks and natural sounds, music and dialogue work well in order to create a tense atmosphere for a thriller film. However, I think that most thriller films are created to be more dramatic, although I do still believe my film fits the conventions of a thriller film music mainly, and wasn't as dramatic as other already made films because I personally don't think it would have fit my storyline as well. Therefore, I think my film does fit the conventions, but also challenges it in the fact that it's less dramatic. However, I did this to fit my storyline and my settings. The next section I shall discuss is my final decision into what the name of my film will be. The name that I chose for my film is Reported. I chose this name because after researching other films, I gathered the fact that the name should be of an insight into what the storyline should be about, but also eye-catching and engaging as well. Reported relates well to my film because ultimately my storyline is about a girl who goes missing and then her case is reported. I also decided this would be a good name as it doesn't give too much away but makes the audience want to find out more, as it creates many questions as to what the film could be about. I believe my name does fit the conventions as it's very similar to the other films that are already made and encourages the audience to watch the film. After looking at each section of the film and analysing it compared to other films, I have come to the conclusion that my film fits the conventions of a thriller film well because of the many similarities it has to already made films. My film does mainly follow the conventions, however some things do challenge the conventions of a thriller film, but my film is still very stereotypical, and that is therefore why it makes a good film and falls into the thriller genre well.